I want to talk about how to make calls. There's two main calls we make, maybe three. One is calling a warm market. And an example of when we're calling a warm market just means someone you know. And when I'm calling a warm market someone I know, there's basically you need to know something about them. And the something about them allows you to mention something that's true and give a reason why you want to meet. So what I don't want to do is say, hey, can I meet you Friday to talk about something? But they don't know why. They don't have a problem. You're not creating a reason to meet. And so if I'm calling a warm market, I might chit chat and say, hey, the reason I'm calling is one of the things I believe to be true about you is that you've been married a long time and you got a great commitment to your spouse, which leads me to believe that it probably makes sense that you might know a lot of other married people. And I would like to maybe have a discussion about kind of what I do as a career. Maybe you could help me out, and maybe you know people that I could help. And some people ask, like, how do I help people? Where then I would go into my personal intro and say, people graduate, and then maybe after 12 years of school, they have little to no financial education. And even in university, finance is rarely taught. And so on one side, I think people are hurting financially, but on the flip side, people have money. And so I'm involved with a campaign for financial literacy. And this involves workshops and helping people eliminate debt and increase savings and planning for emergencies. What's your experience when it comes to learning how to manage money? Or what's your experience when it comes to purchasing life insurance? Or hey, what's your experience when it comes to customer service in the financial industry? And so my personal intro would always be a problem we solve, how we solve it, and then I got to re-engage. And now the conversation takes over. They tell me their experience. So I might say a problem we solve is the financial services industry typically has such terrible customer service. And because it has such bad customer service, a lot of people don't trust the industry. We take care of widows and orphans, but they don't trust us because nobody returns a call. It's a 1-866 number. It's in Toronto or Atlanta, and you can't get a hold of anybody. And so what we do is I work in customer service for many different financial services companies. You name it, we have access to do customer service for them. And a lot of people have policies they bought 10, 15 years ago, and they never had a review. 10, 15 years ago, they never got a call. And so what we're able to do is kind of review your old policy and maybe if there's any changes to make because more policies become available, new things come out, and we can update it, update your beneficiaries, update your address, phone number, email, make sure everything is the way it should be. And then if there's any upgrades you got to make or you have new kids, any changes, we could help make those changes. And so I basically work in customer service in the financial industry. What's your experience with customer service when it comes to finance? And when I say it that way, they don't say, oh, I have an advisor. I know they have an advisor. I know that already because that's why I said those words. And the number one problem when people are making calls is there's defensiveness and they want to complain. What's your experience with customer service? What's your experience with learning about money? What's your experience about the process of buying life insurance? What's your experience with getting in and out of debt? And you have to re-engage the client. And now you go through that engagement, and if there's some frustration that comes up, you go book an appointment. But if frustration doesn't come up, you got to use your tone and say like, "Are you 100% satisfied with kind of what you've been doing?" And they say, "Well, not 100%." Well, what would you change? You got to get a problem and then book an appointment. The second way of booking an appointment is we calling a referral. And so calling a referral is slightly different. The way it looks is we're going to talk about asking for a referral another video. We can do that. If you want that, let me know. We can show you how to call a referral, how to get a referral. But there's two parts to calling a referral. One is you connect based on someone they trust, that whoever gave you the connection. So then I would say something like, hey, this is just Daniel. I want to use a familiar tone. I don't want to say, my name is Daniel from da 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 da. It is just Daniel. A familiar tone will make them curious. And and then if they're curious, they'll listen for another 10 seconds. And so I'd say, this is just Daniel. And Amy, a friend of yours, asked me to give you a call, and I got to give some purpose. I've recently helped Amy with some maybe family protection and also restructuring some things as she made some changes in her life. And I, I want to be in a position where she said, maybe you might be interested in making changes as well. Do you have a few minutes to talk? Now, what I want to do is I want to say about them, I say, hey, nice to meet you. Just so I don't bore you with what we already talked about or what you already talked with Sarah about, could you fill me in on what you and Sarah had discussed already? And they fill me in on what they're interested in because that's what they discussed. That's what they remember. Or if they say, oh, I was maybe we talked about life insurance and I haven't talked to my guy in 10 years. I say, oh, 10 years? Oh, yeah, 10 years. I say, so you don't call him, he doesn't call you. It's kind of like a don't ask, don't tell relationship. You make a joke. And then I said, do you know kind of what you're looking for specifically? Or, what about that might interest you? And I want to ask questions. And when I'm booking an appointment, the topic of the call should be them. The topic of the call should be their situation, their frustration, what's going on in their life. The topic of the call should not be, in my opinion, hi, my name is Daniel. I work with Building a Strong Financial Foundation. We have some material. It's in English, it's in Spanish. We have every language. We have a Type to Next program. We have books you can read. We have workshops. I have a designation, more than one. I could tell you about them. People don't ever care about me, nor they will care about me. And our job is to provide customer service to the consumer, not to ask them to care about us. We're the customer service rep. And so we want to get to know them and serve them and make sure they feel important. And I want to present like I'm not important. In the big scheme of things, I'm not important. I'm just trying to build a business and take care of my family. But that's kind of how we have a call. Here's an example of how we make a call with some connection, leading it into some frustration. And if there's an appointment there, you make an appointment. But the purpose of a call isn't to make an appointment. That's the outcome. The purpose of the call is to engage with somebody and treat them like a human being. Ring. I'm calling you. We're gonna call a referral.
Oh, hi, Daniel.
Hey, this is just Daniel, and Sarah asked me to give you a call.
Okay.
Um, she I helped her get just some coverage on her kids, kind of like a full
Hmm.
family coverage, and she said that you might possibly be looking to make some changes. Do you have a few minutes?
Okay, yeah, sure, sure.
Just so I don't cover what you guys already discussed and just bore you to death, could
Right.
you just fill me in on kind of what you guys talked about?
Yeah, no, she did tell me that she was getting some coverage and that she's been wanting to get something in place. And I kind of am in the same boat with my children.
Mm.
And
What do you,
I
what
just
do you,
haven't had a
when you
chance
say
to.
same boat, what do you mean by that?
In the sense where I've thought of it, but haven't actually put it into action yet.
And
So,
do you know specifically what you want to do?
no, not really. I just know that I have to have something in place for them.
Okay,
And I think that's the responsible thing to do. But I just haven't gotten around to it.
right. And then have you been thinking this for a while, or is this just started?
I just started to get my finances in order, so
Mm.
now it's finally come up where okay, I have some extra room and I can
Mm.
actually plan for that.
And what started you to recently start getting your finances in order?
I just restructured um, some things at home,
Okay,
and I was talking to my aunt, and we were talking about house insurance because I had never bought that, and so I went and did that, and then I talked to her about RESPs, and we had a conversation about that
okay.
because it's very much
Our
something that,
ESPs.
yeah, RESPs.
Okay,
Like my parents have put an educational fund for me,
yep.
and so I wanted to do the same for my kids.
Mhm.
But then we had a conversation about different types of insurance, and I got lost. So
Ah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
and then is it the insurance got you lost, or insurance and investment? What specifically, where'd you get lost at that?
I just don't know where to go first. Like
Okay,
it's not very clear with me. It's not very clear for me which direction I should be heading in.
And then do you have a clear outcome of what you want for your children, or is it just like in general you want to do good things for them, but you don't know what would be the best?
I think it's just generally speaking, I just want to do the responsible thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we do this? I think this might probably warrant a meeting where you can just discuss it in person. Why don't we figure out a time where we can meet and then have this discussion in person, and we'll kind of go over like, hey, what the options are for kids and what the options are for you, so you have a little more clarity on kind of what's available.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be
Would that be a
great.
good kind of first meeting?
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
Awesome.
Thanks.
And then book a meeting. The some of the factors when we're booking appointments is to always talk about the other person.
Yes.
And if I make the mistake and say, "Hello, my name is Daniel. I work with World Financial Group. I also with World System Builder. I sell whole life term insurance. Let me tell you about my experience, and let me tell you about a blue book. Let me tell you about workshops. And I'd like to meet and show you what I do and tell you more about myself."
Click.
They don't have a reason to meet with you. And then
No.
on the flip side, if you tell them nothing, they don't show up. Hey, can I meet you Wednesday? I have a secret to tell you. They don't book meetings to have secrets. People book meetings to solve problems.
Mhm.
And so, in the intro of getting a meeting booked, we have to have a problem articulated. And it's usually the prospect articulating the problem. And we probe and use tone to kind of find and kind of bring the problem to the surface.